Another data structure in R is a data frame. A data frame is basically a collection of vectors the same length connected together as a columns. To find more about a data frame, you can use the console !, data frame, data.frame, and we'll just pull up the help function, help documentation, and can go through this and read it by yourself. The syntax is like this. Most times a data frame is just a collection of lists, and this lists comprises of vectors which make up the column. Could be a vector or a factor. Okay, and the string factors here, after R version 4.0 and above, by default is actually false. Okay, so what this string factors does, used to, or kind of converts all character strings or strings to a factor. Okay, these are some of the important functions to inspect a data frame. For example, if we wanted to view the overall structure of a data frame, we use this function. If we want to get the dimension, basically here, how many rows and how many columns, will return numbers like that. We use this function. Head here will return the first 6 observation, and this will return the last 6 observation, and so on and so forth. So let's look at our first example to create a data frame without names. Okay, so we just use the function data frame, opening parenthesis, closing parenthesis here. Okay, and we just separate these two vectors, or these two arguments, by a comma. So here we're just creating numbers from 1 to 3 and letters or strings from A to C. Okay, so execute that. We have that table. It doesn't look very nice, right? So let's go ahead and create now example 2, create the same vector with names. With names basically means we assign it to an object or variable. So same values, we assign it to X and we assign it to Y. We call our data frame function, a parenthesis, then we supply these X and Y variables or objects as arguments separated by a comma. This last parenthesis here and this last parenthesis here is so that when we execute this, we can already see the output in the console. Now we have the column names here as X and Y. Very well, that's good. Alternatively, you can also do the same thing here. This is just another variant using the key value. It's the same thing we've done here. Okay, so let's now look at a more collection of vectors. So here we can see here, this is the first vector, it's a character. Second vector, age, is made up of integer. Remember, we have to separate this by a comma. The third one here also is made up of numeric. It's called height. That will be the name of our columns. Then if you're a Jedi, it will be false, true, logical. And then here, by default is false, even if we don't supply that, but I just put it here so we can see it. So let's go create this data frame. I can now see we have a nice formatted table with column names, and we have the row numbers. Okay. We can also examine our object using one of the functions. You can see here the $ just tells us those are actually the column names, and we can see we have 3 observations and 4 variables. So it just gives us some useful overview of our data frame. You can see the first variable here is made up of data type character. Similarly here, Jedi is made up of logical. Notice that this doesn't appear. Okay, by default it's just silent. Okay, we can get the length of our underlying list. You can see we have 4. Okay, all right, other things you can do: end row, how many number of rows? That's 3. Number of columns, 4. We already know that. Names, we can see these are the column names. Okay, so in summary, we are saying a data frame is just stored as a list. Okay, so that each element in that list comprises the column. Okay, each of these columns is either made up of a vector or a factor. Okay, and a data frame is considered as a 2-dimensional object. In our next video, we're going to look at how to extract some of these elements from a data frame.